Hey everybody, Avish Parashar here from BeFunnyAsASpeaker.com, sharing with you another TV show that you can watch to help you build your humor foundation. Remember, in order to be funny as a speaker, you need to understand all the tools and techniques of humor, but at the same time, you need to have a humor foundation. You need to just be a funnier person. And one of the ways you do that is by immersing yourself with funny things. So rather than just reading serious dramas and depressing books and watching news that depresses you all the time, you can do that sometimes, that's fine. You want to bring more humor into your life. It'll be easier to be funny as a speaker if you're already naturally bringing humor into your life. So today, what I'm going to suggest is you watch the TV show Psych. It's P-S-Y-C-H. It's on the USA Network right these days. It's on Wednesday nights, I think at 10 p.m. Look it up for your local times. That's 10 p.m. Eastern. But if you haven't heard about this or haven't seen it, the main character is a guy named Sean, and he's very observant. He's got this whole he just notices things that other people miss, but he pretends to be a psychic. He's got a sidekick named Gus, and they go around. They help the police solve crimes. But it's a comedy, and to me, this is one of the funniest shows on TV right now. It is the only show that I will say will consistently make me laugh out loud at least once every episode. And that's saying a lot. And this is even if I'm sitting alone, right? Sometimes we laugh out loud if we're around other people to let them know that we thought something was funny. But if you laugh out loud when you're watching something alone, well, then you know it had to be funny because you're doing it just for yourself. So, now this show, I think it's for everybody. It may not be. I will say this. If you are like me and you grew up in the 80s, then this show is absolutely for you. You have to check this out. They drop 80s references all over the place. They also drop other pop culture references, so if you like pop culture, this is also the show for you. Now, to be fair, I have a couple of friends who are younger than me. They did not grow up in the 80s, so they miss a lot of the references, but they still find the show very funny. So you may want to check it out regardless. So one reason to watch it is it's just funny. And the more you laugh, the more you build your humor foundation. The second thing, though, is you can pay attention to how they get some of the laughs. One thing I love about the show, I'm going to share two things that you can learn from a humor perspective. The first thing that I love about the show is that they drop lots and lots of references to other movies, other TV shows, especially a lot of things from the 80s, like I said. But they amazingly show restraint in that they never explain it, right? They don't beat you over the head with it. So if Sean or Gus says an 80s line, Sean may respond to it, but they never say, oh, that's from The Breakfast Club, or, oh, yeah, that was from Rocky 3. They just say the line, they interact like they know it, and if you catch it in the audience, great. If not, they just move on. You know they did some kind of inner thing. Now, this is a great lesson, because one way to really deflate your humor as a speaker, as a comedian, is to explain your jokes. So watch the show and notice how little they explain the reference. Now, once in a while they will, but their explanation is often a follow-up joke. So they don't just explain the joke for the sake of explaining it. They explain it through another joke. So that's a great lesson for you. You can use references. You can use subtle humor in your speeches. You just have to make the commitment to not explain it, or if you feel you have to explain it in the context of another joke. So watch Psych to learn how to do that. The other really useful humor technique in the show is this idea of status. In improv comedy, which, as you may or may not know, is my background for about almost 20 years now, there's an idea of status, which is that you and the other people you're performing with have relative status levels. And you can generate both dramatic movement and humor by changing and adjusting. So if they switch or if they go really high and low, so how the status switches. And they use a lot of this on Psych, whether they're doing it consciously or not, whether they call it status or not. Sean and Gus, the two main characters, and in fact, I talk about people why I didn't like the first season as much, is because Sean's status was very high, Gus's was low, and it stayed like that. Now what they've done in the past few seasons is their statuses are equal, and they shift subtly. You know, usually Sean's on top. He usually plays high status, but sometimes he'll drop. Sometimes Gus will go up. Sometimes Gus will drop. And what's interesting about that is every time that status switches is a humor moment. And to make the story more dramatic, Sean's status often will drop when he's wrong, which he very rarely was in the first season. And that'll suddenly make it more dramatic. And it'll be a chance for others to get humor too. So pay attention to Sean and Gus's relationship with each other and the relationship with all the other characters, both the regulars and the guests for that week. And notice how Sean plays high and low status to them, and how those status switches really affect the humor and bring out humor moments. Now, status is kind of a big concept. I would look it up. You can do a Google search for improv comedy status. If you're more interested, go to befunnyasaSpeaker.com. Send me an email. Go to the contact page and send me an email and say, hey, write more articles about this status thing. I'm interested. Because like I said, it's a big topic. I'm planning on writing some, but definitely let me know if you'd like more information on that. So go watch Psych, laugh your ass off, and learn a few things about how you can be funnier as a speaker too. So once again, thank you for watching. This is Avish Parashar from www.befunnyasaSpeaker.com.